our founder, Andrew Weber, he was the first person to really sort of see these south-facing slopes, beautifully positioned towards the sea, and thought these would be perfect for planting vines. And really that was, the rest is history. People thought he was quite mad at the time, but it turns out to be he was very visionary. And over the last sort of 12, 13 years, we've come a long way and one of the best wine producers in the country now. The site selection, and especially in a climate such as we have in England, is very, very important, crucial in fact. We have these lovely sites here that are very close to the sea. We're about 6 miles from the sea. Very low altitude. Altitude's very important in a cold climate. The higher up, the less ripe you can get. So having a low altitude really helps us. A nice sheltered aspect. So all these things that are what makes a site individual and unique are very, very important, and we're very lucky to have some exceptional sites here. It's very easy to make wines that are made by numbers and have a certain style, but where's the joy and where's the fun in that? We're in this beautiful place, have these amazing sites, and really we want to show those off to people. At Gusbourne, we probably fit, I think, with 1 foot in the old world and 1 foot in the new. And what we've taken from the old world, I think, is this, the tradition, the methods of producing, especially sparkling wine, that are centuries old, and we can learn from that and how they've done these things. But taking from the new world, what we've brought is the technical nature of the winemaking. There's additional levels of cleanliness and hygiene and how important they are, and the control of all the microorganisms, but also the analysis and being able to work out exactly what's happening in your wine, so you're not really making wine in the dark. So we kind of like to embrace the old traditions, but where possible we'll challenge these using new world technologies. We use, in our winemaking, varied amount of yeasts. We do a small amount of wild fermentations, but really, we like to control the wine we're making, the style. So we do use conventional yeasts. We use quite a lot of different ones. The world of yeast is very complicated now, and there's lots of amazing things they can do. And we want complexity in our wines and differences. The world of yeast is incredibly complex and very clever nowadays, so we can get lots of different characteristics from the different yeasts we use. So we try to add as much complexity into the wine as possible. So lots of different yeast strains, lots of different temperatures. We also use different levels of turbidity and cloudiness, and these all impact on different textures and flavours that can allow us to make the most complex wine we can. The grapes in England tend to be quite high in acidity when we pick them, and a large proportion of the acid within these grapes is actually malic acid, which is the acid you find in cooking apples, such as Bramley apples. And so what we choose to do in our climate and with all of our wines is to put everything through malolactic fermentation. And what this means is we add a bacteria, and that will change the malic acid, so the harsh cooking apple acid, into the soft dairy acid you'd find in lactic acid, so what you'd find in milk and cheese. And this softening process just helps to make our wines, that can be quite austere when they're young, more approachable and more interesting. Predominantly what we make is sparkling wine here, and that's what we do very well in this country, but we also make a small amount of still wine, and the production methods do change quite a bit. The majority of our sparkling wine is in stainless steel tanks, temperature controlled, but for instance our still white wine will be 100% barrel fermented, and it's very interesting looking at almost the same raw ingredients and how much different the end product will be just from the vessel that they're actually fermented and aged in. So we do some work with that. At the moment we're in the middle of our probably the most magical time of the year for us is the blending time. So really that's the wine's gone through all its processes and all its fermentations and everything else and settled down, and that's the first time we really get to see a true identity of what the wines are like. And so we have about 14 different vineyards and lots of different clones, and so at the end of our winemaking process we maybe have 100 different components. So now's the chance that we're looking at each individual component and working out really, what it's like now, and importantly, what it'll be like in 4 years' time when we come to release the wine. So that's the sort of very magical time of doing the blending at the moment. We have a crack team of tasters involved in the blending process. Myself, Laura, obviously, with a master sommelier with an expert palate, is crucial to that too, and also another winemaker, Serena, who joins us as well. And we all have different angles, and we all have different, different blind spots and different expertise, and all bring different things to the table. So we have some interesting discussions. Generally, we get on very well and agree on the same thing, but occasionally we sort of think, we disagree on things. And I really just try to identify, it's quite a difficult process because you're looking at wines that are, very young, very green, still quite cloudy, they're flat, they're often warm, and you think, okay, what will this wine be like in 4 years' time when it's clear, it's fizzy, it's cold, it's been sweetened, and importantly, it's had a long time to age, both in the cellar, on lees, and on cork. And being able to sort of say, this is how the wine is now, and this is how the wine will be in 4 years' time, is the really, really interesting thing, and what we work really hard to try and do. Really, the most important thing is this, we only grow our own grapes, we have all these different sites, and we handpick everything separately, press everything separately, ferment everything separately, and so at the end we have all these different components, and from that you can really start to cherry pick the different styles of the different wines that we make. So for instance, our Blanc de Blanc is very mineral in style and has this lovely elegance to it. So the tanks that really seem to exhibit those, and the vineyards they're from, will go into those wines. Equally, our Brut Reserve is all about fruit and generosity and roundness. So the tanks that really seem to demonstrate that we put into those. So it makes our job a lot easier if you have lots of different tanks to choose from. I love my job. I have a fantastic job. I feel hugely privileged on a day-to-day basis, coming and looking out the window, looking over vines, working with your hands, and at the end of the day, producing something tangible that you can put on the table and say, I made this, and you can share it with friends and families. So I feel hugely privileged and hugely lucky to be a winemaker.